We hear it all the time. Be careful what you post on social media because it might cost you a very favorable opportunity or even your job. But in reality, how often does that happen? And quite frankly, it seems it would have to be a mess up of the century for that to happen, right? Well, it seems that it happens a lot more than we are aware of, especially in the West. Yes, even a Snapchat or Instagram post that seems practically inoffensive could be grounds for your dismissal. According to a survey by The Manifest, 90% of employers find social media very important when evaluating candidates. What's more, 79% of HR professionals have denied job opportunities to candidates due to inappropriate content on social media. All that to say this, while the internet and indeed social media have been a blessing in today's climate of ever-changing and hyper-connected technology, it is increasingly important to be responsible digital citizens. Because there's an abundance of platforms and apps such as Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and many others for people to interact online, there are also risks involved. On that background, how can we cultivate a culture of responsible digital citizenry? David Mwebing, who's campaign coordinator at the Iboto Foundation and Future Foundation, is on First Issues. David, thank you so much for coming here on First Issues and affording us your time. Today we're talking about responsible internet usage. You know, in an age where it's been popularized to be on social media platforms, your Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, and the likes. But before we go any further into this conversation, I want you to explain to us what it means to be a responsible digital citizen.
We live in a digital era. The world, life in general, is increasingly becoming digitalized. We are living our lives a lot more in digital spaces now. And just as we live lives in physical spaces, the demands, the values, the principles of life in physical spaces also apply in digital spaces. Just as I'm a citizen in the real world, it also applies in digital spaces as a citizen. That's what a digital citizen is all about. It relates to appropriate use of digital technologies, and this covers safe, responsible, and meaningful use of technologies. Meaningful as in the use that can be able to benefit someone's life or a society in general.
David, we're aware that it is becoming increasingly common for recruitment managers to deny job opportunities to applicants because of, a negative social media footprint, or for employers to let go of employees for the same. But my question to you is, what are the legal parameters around this?
Because of the influence that digital platforms have on perceptions and society in general, organizations, they can be employers or clients or suppliers, they tend to want to associate with individuals or organizations that conduct themselves in what could be regarded as an appropriate manner and would not tarnish their image in any way. In digital platforms, image is everything, and this is basically because of what I just said, the reach. Your brand today, if you open a Facebook page today and you create a profile, that profile can be accessed anywhere in the world, and you want to make sure that your brand remains clean and people can always want to associate with your organization or your brand without anything attached to it that is negative. And that's why organizations would always want to ensure that as much as you have your own private life, what you do on your private social media platforms or whatever digital platform that you use, yes, you have the right to express yourself and do whatever that you want to do. But remember, you are part of an organization that has certain values and principles. I would not, as an employer, want a salesperson who is seen, saying whatever they want to say, insulting people or saying whatever negativity that they want to spread on social media platforms, and then they go out to represent my organization, and they may have to meet clients that may have been offended by that which they posted on social media platforms.
Still on recruitment managers and job opportunities being denied, how far back can an HR manager or recruitment manager go into your social media footprint, because, you know, we've been young before, and being young sometimes means not being aware of what it is that you're doing on social media, or you're just naive, you just don't care about these things.
You don't see people walking around, you know, bullying others or insulting others or saying whatever they want to say in the real world, because you're concerned about what people will say about you or how people will view you, and the perception that people would have on you. So the same should apply in digital platforms, and I think it's a lot more important now because almost everything is taking place in digital platforms, and you know, people are screening, even countries, what they're doing now, before they give you a visa, they will screen your social media profile just to see, you know, and to make sure that they're not giving a visa to a potential terrorist, you know. So those things really apply. Now, there is a post I saw on social media where, you know, someone had gone for a job interview, and you know, this lady, the interviewer, had printed, you know, their post from way back, and they looked at them and they said, "Oh, so tell me, do you still think all bosses are horrible?" And the gentleman didn't know how to react, because something that happened, and he didn't know that one day he will end up having to sit for a job interview, really hindered him from getting a job. So it is critical and important to think just the same way as we live our lives in the real world, in the physical world, to think about the profile, the image that we portray in digital spaces.
You know, at the beginning of our conversation, you did say that we're living in the digital era. So this era is popularized and highly characterized by digital content, social media content, right? But where do we draw the line, and how, in what is considered appropriate content and what isn't?
Freedom of expression, freedom for, you know, people to express themselves, you know, people having their right to do what they believe is right for them, but as long as it does not affect the next person's rights, it is fine. You know, things like cyberbullying, you know, digital citizenship covers all those issues, ensuring that people conduct themselves in a safe in terms of their own safety and other users' safety, in a responsible, you know, being responsible and accountable for their actions, really, and meaningful way, you know, making sure that what they do can actually lead to them benefiting from that and growing as an individual, as a community, or as a society. So basically that's what it is all about.
There is such a thing as, you know, social media legislator. How far are we in Botswana with that? Do we have any policies or pieces of legislator that guard against cyberbullying, that guard against harassment on these digital platforms, that guards against, you know, spreading of misinformation?
In Botswana, we do have various pieces of legislation that cover the way people ought to conduct themselves in digital spaces and the way people ought to use digital technologies. The first one is the Cybercrime and Computer-Related Crimes Act, which basically covers issues like, you know, stalking and cyberbullying and harassment, as well as you know, online misinformation. We also have the penal code, particularly when it comes to offenses against other users, as well as just, you know, general use of, you know, computers and the internet to carry out criminal offenses.
This program was brought to you in association with First National Bank of Botswana.
FNB, how can we help you?